And let's talk about this, the other piece of cash flow, and that is, let's look at the business where all the cash is being generated in the first place, right?
Right.
Let's talk about that as being an option to extracting and managing cash so that you can stay in business. So kind of like self-funding, right?
Self-funding, yeah, right. Great idea.
Do it yourself.
Right.
Let's talk about that. What are some pros and cons, and what are some of those aspects and dials they can turn inside their company?
Right. Well, this is the most overlooked source of cash flow. You know, and I think that when we talk about the dials, there are a handful of items on the balance sheet that any business could do better on. Things like receivables, things like inventory. So when we're talking about we've got so many dollars tied up in accounts receivable and inventory, and if we were able to reduce that by 10% or 20% or 30%, that money can go directly to paying down the line of credit we have presently or funding new opportunities that we have that we might ordinarily go to the bank for. But the problem is everyone understands that that money's tied up, but if you ask them, what are you doing? How many days inventory do you have? Most of them don't know. And then secondly, what are you doing to reduce the number of days of inventory that you have, that dollar value that's tied up there? There's no plan. So by just putting a few different metrics in place and assigning accountability within the organization, you can drastically change the amount of cash that's tied up in that process from when we get the order and we order material to the time the customer pays us, which in some cases can be 6 months, 4 to 6 months. And if you've got several $1 million in inventory and several $1 million in a line of credit, and you can pull that inventory down by 20%, that goes right to the debt service. So you know, that's the source that everyone overlooks. They know about it, but they don't actively do anything to manage it.